It's been a few days since the Ben Milliken arrest fraud charge happened, and we have had time to look at it a little more, but I have lots of questions, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I am Steve Chapman. I do this channel, Get Your Fish On. I have been fortunate enough to be part of this industry and community since before 2009 when I started a radio show. And this Ben Milliken situation and fraud charge has me questioning a lot of things right now. And since this happened on Thursday and then Friday it really broke, I have watched a bunch of YouTube and content creators create their narrative of what they think is right and then what is wrong with this whole situation. And there are many of them that I really look up to and that I think, wow, this is really a great job. And there's others that are just spewing garbage with no facts, just stating their opinion on what they think happened, from good friends to just other people who don't make any sense at all. And in this small community, it really hurts everything. Hopefully this won't hurt Ben's reputation, because this is just a massive learning experience. And while Ben has his detractors that don't like him, or there's a lot of people that really are behind Ben and don't believe any of this is true. Hey guys, if I can just break in here really quick. If you like this kind of content, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button and become part of the team and family. I really do appreciate it. And thank you. Just thank you for all the people who are subscribers, members, and who comment constantly over there. I really, really appreciate it. There are some facts that are definitely legitimate. The first, and maybe not the biggest, is that he didn't have his fishing license. And what can you say about that? There are many times and many people that have done the same thing. And in most cases, they get a citation and a fine, they pay it, and then instantly go back and get their license quickly thereafter. But the question that comes into play is, in most cases, Texas licenses go from August to August of each year. So September 1st, your license expires. And if that is the case for Ben, because there are instances when you can go year to date and buy forever, but most people go August to August. If that is the case for Ben, that means he didn't have his license for about 5 months and 4 or 5 days. That is 156 or 157 calendar days. And in many cases, he was out there fishing probably 10 to 14 YouTube videos for content for us during that time that he might not have had a license. But he shouldn't be penalized for that, I don't believe. Having his license, not having a valid license is just a stupid mistake. But it does happen to everybody, or a majority of people. Or let's not even say a majority of people. It happens to some. Some of us are very on top of when our license expires and those kind of things. And in Ben's case, he is not only a content creator and a Bassmaster Elite Pro and a business owner and all the other things that Ben does, that maybe he just forgot about it and didn't have time to renew it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It does happen. But I think we'd be remiss to not look into that and find out when his license actually expired. Because he did do several fishing trips between September 1st and that February 4th or 5th. From there comes the freshwater fishing tournament fraud. Again, I said this in the first video. He wasn't in a tournament. That's what we have to remember. He wasn't in an elite tournament or a local club tournament. You have to get that out of your head. What they've termed as a tournament is because the share lunker goes between a certain period to another certain period. And that if you catch a certain pound bass, 8 or over, 10 and over, or 13 and over, you have the opportunity to win prizes. And while it isn't a tournament, so-called tournament, it is kind of sort of a tournament. But therein lies more questions. Why didn't he disqualify himself? If he didn't know that he didn't have a license and submitted the form to the share lunker, why didn't he call up in an attempt to disqualify himself? Why did he wait until they did their due diligence and they figured out that he had an invalid license during the time that he caught that fish? Why would he submit it? I think you can put 2 and 2 together and say he probably did not know his license was invalid when he submitted the form to ShareLunker. Because why would anyone put themselves through this kind of scrutiny, this kind of negative publicity. So Ben Milliken is an absolutely fantastic brand. You have to remember that. And while good publicity is just as good as bad publicity, in most cases, you don't want to have bad publicity for yourself or your brand or your sponsors. But why didn't Ben remove himself from the share lunker and that opportunity of those prizes? That's a big question that needs to be answered. And this is still an ongoing investigation. So Ben isn't allowed to talk about it, and getting real answers from the TPW is almost non-existent and tough. And I'm going to read all of this. When he submitted his form with his signature, he provided false information that misled the share lunker organization. He might not have intentionally provided false information that his license was valid, but when it wasn't, he submitted incorrect information. This is where I think the fraud charge comes into play. And I also think this is where it gets very interesting too, because he didn't receive any money. There were no money exchanging hands. But his signature on that share lunker form is required. And it's to show ownership, that the details on it are true and correct. And that's where I think the misleading fraud accusation comes into play. Again, I'm not sure that they can prove any of this. And I think that this is going to be just not a big bad thing for Ben, but it'll tarnish his reputation a little bit. But Ben has an unbelievable social media following. And I've seen it on my own channel, that if I say anything negative about Ben, or the person doesn't watch this whole video, they instantly attack me. But I think we still need to let this play out and try to keep up with it as much as possible. I don't think this is going to be something that happens right away. I think we'll forget about this for a little bit and then come back to it when it resurfaces. But there's a lot of questions that need to be asked. And while Ben isn't able to right now answer those questions because of an ongoing investigation and keeping quiet, I think that's the best thing for him to do. And hopefully we'll hear more from him before we hear from the TPW, because I'd like to hear his side of the story before their narrative comes out. But I'm not sure I'll see that. I'm sure we'll see more titles saying I got arrested after I did this fishing trip. Or we'll see something else. Now, what happens from here? What do you want to know? Where does Ben go from here? That's what I want to hear in the comments below. So comment below and tell me what you think. I need to say thank you to all the people who watch the channel, who are new subscribers, who are new members. I really do appreciate it. Becoming a member really helps support the channel, and I really do appreciate it. I also appreciate all the people who comment. Man, the comments on these videos are ridiculous and interesting and teach me what you guys are looking for. So thank you, but comment below and tell me what you think. Remember, Friday nights we're going to do a live show. We'll talk about everything that goes on during the week at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Friday nights. We'll take some interviews, do some question and answers, and we'll try to have fun. So Friday night, 8 p.m., I hope to see you there. Remember, take a good fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on. It's so confusing not doing that backwards, but get your fish on.